Yo, and we are back with another one. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to discuss four things that took my photography and videography to a different level. And it was something that I could truly be proud of. Let's go. So, first things first, rule number one, not only are we going to go over four things that truly have helped me, but these are things that are going to elevate your photography to another level. These are things that are going to help you personally grow, and they are also going to help you mature and develop your overall circumference in how you view not only yourself but your business as a creator, as someone who enjoys just doing things and creating things and offering different perspectives and ideas, right? So, but also it may help you get prospective clients as well, but it will increase your money and the things that you offer and your payload. Okay, so just be very aware of that. These are tips that I have learned just doing this over the past 10 years now. So rule number one, or tip number one, not a rule, tip number one is to change your perspective. And I know that may sound elementary. I know that may sound like something that is very, oh, we know about changing our perspective. It's not as simple as you might think it is, because a lot of the times whenever you see someone taking a photo in landscape or in horizontal, you're like, oh, that's really nice. And a lot of the times that's the only way that you can take a picture. But imagine turning your camera slightly at a 45-degree angle, or whenever you're taking the photo, right as you're taking it, slightly twitch the camera a little bit to see if you can blur out everything surrounding your focal point or what you're focusing on. Or just imagine being able to bend down and look up instead of looking straight. So these are different perspectives, and it all requires you to simply move your body in a different way than you normally would. Okay? So you may see on social media or Instagram where people take down up shots, or they'll take a picture of a building reflecting inside of a body of water. That's them having to bend down and put that camera all the way to the ground in order to capture that photo. Or even in the conversation of being able to look at something, and instead of looking straight on at it, what if you looked at it from the side or from behind, or you see like a little small hole through a body of trees, and then you look through that hole and you say that's a different perspective. So be able to move your body, and moving your body offers you not only a different perspective, but it can renew your idea on how to capture different content, different photos, record different videos, and it'll truly offer you something slightly different than your norm. Okay? And it'll also renew your eye and be able to offer your clients and yourself a different vantage point. So that's pro tip. Change your perspective. Tip number two that I have for you is gear matters. Now, let me preface this by saying this. If you are someone who doesn't who's not creating right now, like you're just not taking the photos and you know you could be, you're not recording and you know you could be, you're not putting out content, you're not putting out things for the world to judge you on and you get feedback in return. If you're not doing those things, then gear doesn't matter to you. You simply just need to pick up your phone and start taking photos and recording, or just use the technology that you have around you, because this rule doesn't necessarily matter, because you need to first get into the habit of taking photos and recording. And pro tip to this tip, take your camera everywhere you go. You already take your phone everywhere you go. So every chance that you get, take a photo, edit the photo, post the photo. But if you are someone who's already taking the photos, already recording and putting out content to the world, then this will truly help you, because you know that gear does matter. The difference between a L series Canon lens and a ordinary Canon lens is the quality of the photo, the quality of the camera, right? All of those things make a huge difference in the type of quality that you're presenting to your potential clients, current clients, and the things that you want to see for yourself. You want to see yourself grow. So gear matters. The things that you use in order to produce, for example, tripods. Tripods make a huge difference. If you're trying to do a time lapse, if you're trying to take a still shot, if you're trying to make sure that that photo or that video is going to be steady. One of my favorite tripods that I use currently right now is the Peak Design tripod. So as you can see, this Peak Design tripod can go vertical, but I can simply rotate it. Then I can, make it horizontal or make it landscape, right? But the cool part about this tripod specifically is that not only can it stand normal, but it can also change perspective. Tip number one, and you can make it lower by simply extending the legs on it, right? And by making it lower, you can change your vantage point on it. So all of those things make a huge difference, and you need gear in order to do that. Not only that, look how small this tripod is. Let me show you. Because this tripod is Peak Design's travel tripod, and for conversation purposes, it is a very small, it takes up a very small blueprint in your camera bag. It fits right there in the side of any normal bag that you may have or want to carry around, but it takes up a super small blueprint. This thing is super small. And now, granted, it is a fairly expensive tripod, but I can say that this tripod is worth it, and it's light too. It doesn't require a lot of weight. So whenever we talk about gear, we talk about things like C-stands. You're gonna need a C-stand in order to hold up those big heavy strobe lights, or in order to hold up the continuous lights where you may be doing a podcast or something, right? So depending on what you're trying to do is going to determine the type of C-stand you need and the type of light you need. But gear does make a huge difference. What if you're moving and you need a C-stand with wheels on it, right? So tripods, C-stands, all of those make a huge difference. You need different things in order to do different jobs, different perspectives. What about a stabilizer? So to say that gear does make a difference, but get what you need. Make sure you get the things that you can use. Make sure you get the things that will ultimately pay you back in the long run. Okay? Tip number 3 is a very important tip. Tip number 3 is something that a lot of people struggle with because they don't always have the money and the means in order to do this thing. But here's the thing. You don't necessarily always need to buy the most expensive gear long as you have gear. But tip number 3 is you need a second camera. You're going to need a second body. I repeat, you're going to need a second body. The reason why you need a second body is because, for example, I'm recording on one camera body right now. This camera body is stationary. It doesn't move. It's specific for documenting YouTube videos. It doesn't change. This is just what it is. And this is my cinema camera, mind you. So you get a different quality, sure, but the only time I do take this camera or move it is if I have a huge project that I have to do, if I'm recording a documentary, or if I have to do a short film, anything like that. But the reason why you need a second body is for that reason, but also you don't always want to move your main camera, but you need a B camera so you can get a different perspective. You can get a different angle whenever you're recording that podcast or that YouTube channel or even that documentary. You're going to need a different angle. And in the production world, we call it A cam and B cam. Sometimes there's a C cam. So in my case, I plan on buying another camera fairly soon so that whenever I take trips, perfect example, I'll have one camera that is set up specifically for taking photos. But then I'll have my secondary camera that's designed for things like video and time lapse. So that camera can just sit in one spot. It doesn't have to move. It'll be on a tripod. It'll just be there doing a time lapse of the horizon. That's what it's for. And here's another thing, right? You also need a B camera or a secondary camera for this purpose. A lot of the times you see people doing top-down shots where you see the camera angle pointed straight down. What about that vantage point? What about looking at it from that perspective? You need a second camera. Or what if you're trying to do a live recording of editing a video? You need a second camera for that. You just need a second body. If you don't have a second body, I don't think you're being efficient enough. In my humble opinion, you're just not. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4, very important tip, is learn how to edit better so your quality of your videos can be better and they can be more engaging. I know that sounds like, oh, I have a certain way I edit. Change up your editing, change up your style, mix it up a little bit. Make sure that your editing is something that can capture people's attention. Make sure you throw in different graphics. Make sure you do the color grading a little bit differently. Spend your time on YouTube University watching a lot of videos on how to do different editing styles in Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve or whatever your editing software may be, iMovie, whatever. Make sure you get your editing up to par. If you don't have the money for Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve is free and iMovie is free, but that's if you have a Mac. So make sure you get your editing up. Make sure you learn how to color grade. Make sure you do all the things. And this is speaking from someone who's in the process of getting their editing up. Learning how to color grade properly with DaVinci Resolve, because the color science and color theory is a completely different monster. It's a completely different animal, but make sure you color grade properly. And this is a pro tip for the people that made it this far. Pro tip. This is something that I had to learn myself, and I want to share it with you. Don't waste money and time. Let me give you a perfect example. Don't go buy a drone for $1,000 if you don't have any clients that are looking for drone footage. That's as simple as it gets. Don't go buy a lens if you don't necessarily understand what you're going to be using that lens for. So don't waste money and don't waste time, because you can spend a lot of time doing a lot of positive things, but positivity does not always align with productivity. So make sure you're being positive and productive. You can be one, but you don't always follow up with the other. So make sure you're being positive and productive. Make sure you're doing things that truly matter. Don't waste money on lenses that you don't need. Don't waste money on things that you don't necessarily want or you don't see a use for, in specifically a consistent use. You want to put yourself in a place where if you do need something, that you're going to say, I could buy this, but I don't see myself using it beyond this moment. Just rent it. It's worth renting it to try it out. It may cost you a couple of $100 depending on what it is, and you can try it out for a couple of days before you commit to buying it, because this stuff is expensive. This gift is expensive. This talent is expensive. This hobby is truly an expensive hobby, and a lot of this stuff is great quality, it's durable, and you won't be purchasing it again. And then once you do purchase it and you're trying to get rid of it, it's hard to sell it for the same amount of money just to have to go buy something else. Like, don't waste money and don't waste time. Buy the things you need in order to make sure that you can utilize the time that you have to create more content, to do things that matter. But also, don't go out there and buy a whole lot of extra stuff. Just use your camera and use your tripods to find innovative ways to capture that shot. So for example, instead of going out there getting a car mount, you can get a car mount. By all means, I want a car mount. But what if instead of if you wanted to simulate the shot, just take your camera and your tripod and put it in your back seat in order to simulate looking through the front window but behind you as you're driving. You just have to be careful while you're driving, but hit the record button, put it in the back seat, and it'll be able to look as if someone is in the back seat looking through the front glass, right? So you don't need a car mount for that. You can just use your tripod. Or if you need to take a photo of outside of the car looking in, use a tripod. Set your tripod outside of the car and then put your car in reverse and then back up until your camera or until your car is out of the viewfinder of the camera. And you might have to connect your phone to your camera. Most cameras have Wi-Fi now, so you can actually see things like that. But figure out creative ways in order to get the thing that you want and get that recording or get that clip that you need or that photo that you need, so you won't have to go out there spending money and wasting time. And if you need to, rent it first. So those are my 4 to 5 tips and a pro tip. If you have any other tips below, please leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. It helps you. It helps me. There's going to be a lot of things coming into the future. I look forward to seeing you soon. I look forward to seeing you again. There's a partnership in the making if you made it this far. But once again, use what you have to create what you want. I hope this helps. I'll see you in the next one. And we out. Peace. Oh, I'm back. Hey, just a quick little thing. Get a mic. Make sure you get some good audio. You can't see this mic, but there's a mic here. This mic right here. This is a Senko D1 microphone. It's about $200 the last time I checked, but it produces great audio. You can hear it. I've been using it the entire time, and it's out of the window of the camera, so people can't really see it, but most people use it this way. But get audio. Audio will change your life. People can look at bad video. They can tolerate it. They'll endure it. Bad video. They'll be okay. But they will never get past bad audio. I actually learned this whenever I first did my short film. That will be in this corner over here. If you want to look at it and view it, it was my very first one. Let me know what you think about it. I leave it up there so I can make sure that I time map my progress over the course of a few years, but I would love to know what you think about it. My growth is amazing, but it'll be right over there in the top right hand corner if you haven't clicked on it already. Or it'll also be in the thumbnail of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.